all, I'd like to thank my mom and my dad, especially my dad, for helping me to research for this. This is what Memorial Day means to me. In 1970, my Haguni and Hagbuji, which is Korean for grandma and grandpa, immigrated from South Korea to the United States, where they raised my mother and her siblings. In the face of uncertainty in this new country, my grandparents fostered a family with what they knew best, Korean values and traditions. Values and traditions that my mother would pass to me, such as jesa, ceremonies where we bow to and present offerings to our late relatives and ancestors. Korean culture emphasizes honoring those who came before you, as the challenges and hardships they overcame are why you are here today. While jesa is not customary for most Americans, I'd argue that we are just as adamant in our reverence for those who have passed, especially those in the armed forces, given that we celebrate many military-centered holidays, such as Memorial Day. Being Korean American has given me a unique perspective on how I approach remembering those who gave their lives for the safety and freedom of this country, especially those within the other side of my family. My dad's family has lived in New England for centuries, and my ancestors have fought in almost every single major conflict involving the U.S., such as my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Ebenezer Hines Jr., who joined his fellow Minutemen on April 15, 1775, to fight the British at Lexington, Massachusetts, helping to bring the first major American victory of the Revolutionary War. Or his great-grandson, Winthrop Tisdale Hines, who was drafted in 1863 to fight with the Union during the American Civil War, the war that would lead to the creation of Memorial Day. Or his grandson, Ralph Winthrop Hines, who, at just 25, enlisted in World War I. He would later marry and have children, one of whom being Beverly L. Hines, my great-grandmother, who I knew as Nanny. Nanny's husband, Andrew J. Fisher, was part of the Navy during World War II. He served as a radio man right on the bridge of 2 ships that nearly sunk during battle, before returning to the war, meeting Nanny, and having 2 daughters, Bonnie and Andy, the latter of which being my Grandy. Grandy's cousin Bill would be part of the Air Force, stationed at Incheon during the Korean War. Unbeknownst to him, my Haguni was just 17 miles away in Seoul, South Korea, having escaped from Pyongyang, North Korea on foot, carrying a jar of fermented bean paste at only 5 years old. Without the soldiers who fought in the American Revolution, the Civil War, World War I, and World War II, America wouldn't be the country it is today, a country that grants freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And without the efforts of American soldiers in the Korean War, South Korea might have been absorbed into North Korea, and my Haguni and Hagbuji would have never come to the U.S., or had a free, democratic South Korea to move back to in 1989. Without my ancestors who fought for America, I would have never inherited the culture that taught me to pay respect for my ancestors. Memorial Day is considered the unofficial beginning of summer. I spent many summers at my paternal grandparents' house in Western Massachusetts, a house built when Massachusetts was but a British colony. Driving back to New York, we passed highway signs highlighting the exit ramps to Lexington and Concord, the very same towns where my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather fought for the foundation of this country. The summers I wasn't in America, my family and I flew into Korea, landing at the Incheon Airport, before visiting my grandparents' house in Seoul. Despite being on opposite sides of the planet, both houses stood as a reminder of the U.S. soldiers in my lineage, past and present, who put their lives on the line for both countries. And for them, I am eternally grateful.